Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Mubin Yusuf from Physiology Department, Faisalabad Medical University, Faisal. Let us describe today the new topic, that is the endocrine functions of the OV. A brief review about the previous lecture, that is the female reproductive system consists of the ovaries and the secondary sexual characteristics. The ovaries performs two functions, that is the oogenesis and the steroidogenesis, which means the synthesis and the secretion of the female sex hormones. These hormones in turn act on the uterus and produces the different ovaries. The hormone first I'm going to describe is the estradiol or the estrogen. In the pre-ovulatory phase, it is secreted in large amounts by the growing ovarian follicle under the influence of FSH. Just 2 days before the ovulation, estrogen secretion by the Graafian follicle is markedly increased. But in the post-ovulatory phase, the plasma estrogen level is initially low due to rupture of the Graafian follicle. After formation of the corpus luteum, estrogen secretion increases, but it decreases 2 days before the end of the cycle due to degeneration of the corpus luteum. The other hormone that is important is the progesterone. Progesterone in the pre-ovulatory phase, the small amounts are secreted by the ovarian follicles, which secretes mainly estrogen. And in the post-ovulatory phase, this hormone is secreted by the corpus luteum in an increasing rate that reaches the peak by the 22nd day of the cycle. The rate of secretion is markedly lower 2 days before the end of the cycle due to degeneration of the corpus luteum. It means that the progesterone in the pre-ovulatory phase is produced in smaller amounts, and it is mostly produced in larger amounts in the post-ovulatory phase. And like the estrogen, just 2 days before the start of the next cycle, there is degeneration of the corpus luteum and the level of progesterone lowers down. The third hormone that is important, or we can say that which is most important and is secreted from the anterior pituitary gland, is the follicle stimulating hormone. The follicle stimulating hormone in the pre-ovulatory phase, the secretion is very high in the beginning of the phase because the plasma estrogen level is low. That causes the effect on the anterior pituitary and causes a positive effect on the anterior pituitary gland and causes increased secretion of the follicle stimulating hormone. Therefore, it decreases to a low level due to the negative feedback effect of high plasma estrogen level when the level of estrogen is high. Just 2 days before the ovulation, the secretion of FSH is increased by 2 to 3 fold due to the positive feedback effect of the high estrogen level on the anterior pituitary gland. In the post-ovulatory phase, the rate of FSH secretion is lowered because of the high estrogen level secretion by the corpus luteum. The fourth hormone that is very much important is the luteinizing hormone. Like other hormones in the pre-ovulatory phase, the rate of LH or the luteinizing hormone is from the anterior pituitary gland is constant, which remains at the basal level. But just before the ovulation, or we can say the 2 days before the ovulation, the rate of LH secretion is increased many folds, that is about 6 to 10 folds, due to positive feedback effect of the high estrogen level on the anterior pituitary gland. In the post-ovulatory phase, the LH secretion is inhibited by the negative feedback effect of high progesterone levels secreted by the corpus luteum. What are the different functions of the FSH that it performs is the stimulation of early growth of the ovarian follicles. This has been told to you in my previous lecture that that the FSH is very much important for the growth of the ovarian follicles. It is mainly the FSH in the first phase of the ovarian cycle that is responsible for the growth of the follicle to maturation. Along with the LH, it causes the maturation of the Graafian follicles and stimulates estrogen secretion by the granulosa cell of the growing follicle due to stimulation of aromatase enzyme. How the LH functions? The function of the LH includes the regulation of the estrogen secretion from the theca interna and granulosa cells of the Graafian follicle. With the LH surge, the ovulation occurs and there is a formation of the corpus luteum. It also stimulates the secretion of estrogen and progesterone from the corpus luteum. Gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone is secreted by the hypothalamus into the hypothalamus hypophyseal portal circulation. It stimulates secretion of both the LH and FSH from the anterior pituitary gland. It is secreted actually in the rhythmical manner in the pulses that are generated in the median basal hypothalamus each 1 to 2 hours, which lasts from 5 to 25 minutes, which means that the gonadotropin releasing hormone is actually secreted from the hypothalamus in a pulsatile manner. It has been shown, it has been seen that when it is released in a continuous manner, it loses its ability to cause the release of LH and FSH from the anterior pituitary gland. So to be effective, the gonadotropin releasing hormone should be released in a pulsatile manner. That is, with each first, it should be released after each 1 to 2 hours, which lasts for 5 to 20 minutes. Pulse frequency is increased by estrogen and it is decreased by the progesterone. Like other hormones in the pre-ovulatory phase, its frequency increases. At ovulation, the sensitivity of the gonadotrophs to GnRH or the gonadotropin releasing hormone increases due to their exposure to high frequency pulses. And in the post-ovulatory phase, its frequency decreases. How the regulation of the female monthly rhythmical cycles take place? It is actually the interplay between the ovarian and hypothalamic pituitary hormones. The secretion of anterior pituitary hormone is controlled by the releasing hormone formed in the hypothalamus, which I have told you earlier that from release from the hypothalamus, the gonadotropin releasing hormone is transported to the anterior pituitary gland by the hypothalamus hypophyseal portal system. Then it causes the intermittent pulsatile secretion of the GnRH by the hypothalamus, which stimulates the pulsatile release of LH from the anterior pituitary gland. The pulsatile release of the GnRH causes intermittent output of the LH secretion about every 90 minutes. Negative feedback effect of the estrogen and progesterone is mainly effective in decreasing both the LH and FSH secretion. How the LH and FSH secretion decreases? It decreases in response to the negative feedback effect of the estrogen and progesterone. The estrogen in small amounts has strong effect to inhibit the production of LH and FSH. This inhibitory effect of estrogen is increased when progesterone is available. It means that in the later half of the cycle, when both the progesterone and estrogens are available in the larger amounts, they causes a negative feedback effect on the anterior pituitary glands and also on the hypothalamus to cause the decreased release of LH and FSH and also the gonadotropin releasing hormone. This inhibitory effect is more on the anterior pituitary directly and to a lesser extent on the hypothalamus to inhibit the secretion of GnRH. I have told you that there is another hormone that is released from the corpus luteum in the later half of the cycle is the inhibin. This inhibin along with the estrogen and progesterone also causes the negative feedback effect on the release of LH and FSH. The positive feedback effect of estrogen before the ovulation. Estrogen in the later half of the cycle actually causes produces its effect by the negative feedback effect. But contrary to this expectation, that when the estrogen level is high in the first half of the cycle, we see that there happens another thing, that positive feedback effect of estrogen occurs just before the ovulation. What does it mean? That anterior pituitary secretes increased amount of LH for about 1 to 2 days before the ovulation. FSH surge is much smaller in the pre-ovulatory phase than LH surge. Just before 1 to 2 days ovulation, I have told you that both the FSH and LH levels increases, but it is actually the LH level that is most important for the ovulation to occur. FSH although also increases, but it increases in smaller amounts. The possible cause of LH secretion could be the estrogen, which has the special positive feedback effect of stimulating pituitary secretion of LH and to a lesser extent FSH. The granulosa cells of the follicle begin to secrete small increasing amount of progesterone about 1 day before ovulation. So it is actually the positive feedback effect of the estrogen just 1 to 2 days before the ovulation that at this moment produces the positive feedback effect on the release of the LH and FSH. In the later half of the cycle, when estrogen level is high, that is along with the progesterone secreted from the corpus luteum, it causes negative feedback effect. But just before the ovulation, estrogen produces positive feedback effect on the secretion of LH and FSH. The post-ovulatory secretion of the ovarian hormones and the depression of the pituitary gonadotrophin, how does it occur? During the post-ovulatory phase, the corpus luteum secretes large quantities of both progesterone and estrogen and inhibin, which altogether causes negative feedback effect on the anterior pituitary and hypothalamus to inhibit both FSH secretions and LH secretions. That occurs just before the onset of the menstruation. This is a repetition of the graph which I have told you, that is very much important to remember that estradiol in the first half of the cycle is present in the large amount, and after that it is the progesterone which is taking in its place after ovulation has taken place. The progesterone along with the estrogen in the later half of the cycle will cause the negative feedback effect on the release of LH and FSH, and estradiol just before the ovulation will have a positive feedback effect on the release of LH and FSH. About 2 to 3 days before the menstruation, the corpus luteum regresses and the secretion of estrogen, progesterone and inhibin decreases. This decrease removes the negative feedback effect on the anterior pituitary hormones, which was caused by the estrogen, progesterone and inhibin. Now, the removal of the negative feedback effect on the anterior pituitary a day before the menstruation, the FSH secretion began to increase while LH secretion is slightly increased. When the negative feedback effect is removed, the FSH is going to be secreted now in larger amounts, although LH is also secreted, but it is at this moment it is going to be secreted in smaller amounts. These hormones causes the growth of the follicle. During the first 11 to 12 days of this follicular growth, the rate of secretion of FSH and LH decreases slightly because of the negative feedback effect of estrogen on the anterior pituitary. But I have told you earlier, this is just a repetition, that pre-ovulatory surge of LH and FSH causes ovulation. How about 12 days of the monthly cycle, the high secretion of FSH and LH start to increase due to high level of estrogen which causes the positive feedback effect on the anterior pituitary glands. Now coming towards the different functions of these hormones on different systems of the body, how these hormones are released and they act on the different systems of the female reproductive system, different systems of the female reproductive organs, and how they produce their actions. First of all, we'll discuss about the estrogen. The estrogen is produced in the non-pregnant female by the ovaries, that is theca interna of the ovarian follicle, and lutein cells of the corpus luteum. Granulosa cells into the follicular fluid release this estrogen and stromal tissues of the ovaries. The minute amounts are also secreted by the adrenal cortex, but in the pregnant states, the large quantities are secreted by the placenta. There are three types of the estrogen present: beta estradiol, estrone, and estriol. The beta estradiol is the principal estrogen that is produced, being 12 times as potent as estrone and 80 times that of estriol. It is mainly secreted by the ovaries. The estrone is produced in small amounts by the ovaries. Most of it is formed in the peripheral tissues from androgens secreted by adrenal cortices and ovarian theca cells. And estriol is actually the oxidative product of estradiol and estrone, which occurs in the liver. How the estrogen is going to produce its action on different reproductive organs. On the primary sex organs, that is the ovaries, it causes the stimulation of growth of ovarian follicles. And by inducing LH surge, it causes the ovulation and corpus luteum formation. On the secondary sex character, how does it produce its action? On the uterus, it stimulates its proliferative phase of the menstrual cycle. I've told you earlier that in the pre-ovulatory phase, or we can say in the proliferative phase of the menstrual cycle, it is mainly the estrogen which is predominating. So it stimulates the growth of the different epithelial and stromal cells of the endometrium. At the time of the birth, at the time of the childbirth, it increases the myometrium, that is the muscles of the uterus. It increases their sensitivity of the myometrium to the action of oxytocin. It also increases uterine blood flow, increases excitability, and increases contractile proteins. So that resulting in this way, it causes increase in the contractions of the uterus at the time of childbirth. On the cervix, it increases the amount and decreases the viscosity of the cervical mucus, which is characterized by the Fanning and Spin-Barker test. Uh, on the vagina, it causes the stratification of epithelium, which is more resistant to trauma and infection. It increases the viscolarity of the wall and causes the deposition of the glycogen, so increasing the acidity of the vagina. On the fallopian tubes, it increases the motility and increases the number and activity of the cell, which helps in the transport of fertilized ovum into the uterus. On the breast, it causes the deposition of the fat at the puberty, formation of ductal system and nipples, increases the vascularity and causes the pigmentation of areola. This slide is showing the Spin-Barker and Fanning test. How the mucus looks like at the time of cervical mucus looks like at the time of ovulation. When you place a slide over it, it will produce the thin stringy appearance, and how it looks like under the microscope, just like it is giving a Fanning pattern. On female sex characters, it causes the feminine distribution of the fat in the breast, lower abdomen, buttocks, thigh, mons pubis, and labia majora, and also increasing the vascularity of the skin, which is soft and smooth. It increases libido and physiological makeup of the female. Its metabolic effects include it is an anabolic. It produces an protein anabolic effect and it inhibits the osteoclastic activity in the bones and therefore stimulate the bone growth. This effect is due to stimulation of osteoproteagrins, which are also called as osteoclastogenesis inhibitory factor, a cytokine that inhibits the bone resorption. It decreases the cholesterol in the body and causes the retention of sodium, water, and calcium phosphate. On endocrine gland, it increases the size of the pituitary gland, causes increased secretion of angiotensinogen, increases thyroxine binding globulin and transcortin, and also regulates the secretion of pituitary gonadotrophins. The other hormone which is very important to be discussed here is the progestins. They are steroid female sex hormones. They include mainly the progesterone and 17 alpha hydroxy progesterone. Progesterone is mainly secreted by the corpus luteum. Small amount is also secreted by the ovarian follicles and suprarenal cortex. And in the pregnancy, the considerable amounts are secreted by the placenta. The 17 alpha hydroxyprogesterone is released along with the estrogen by the growing Graafian follicle. It functions on the secondary sexual sex organs are that on the uterus it induces the secretory phase of the menstrual cycle, which means that in the endometrial cycle, the second phase is predominated by the presence of progesterone. It has anti-estrogenic effect, which leads to decreased sensitivity of the myometrial cells to the oxytocin, increases number of estrogen receptors in the endometrium, and increases rate of conversion of beta estradiol to less active estrogens. It means that in the later half of the pregnancy or at the time of the birth, it is estrogen which is important in causing the increased contractility of the uterus. And the in the first half of the pregnancy, it should be the progesterone that should be present in larger amounts to decrease the contractility of the uterus. In the pregnancy, it is essential for the formation of placenta and embedding of the fertilized ovum. It also prevents the abortion by inhibiting uterine contractions due to its anti-estrogenic effects. It suppresses the ovarian cycle probably by inhibiting the release of pituitary gonadotrophins. On surface, it decreases the amount and increases the viscosity of its mucus. On the vagina, it thickens the mucus and epithelial proliferates and become infiltrated with the leukocytes. On the fallopian tubes, it increases the secretion for the nutrition of the fertilized ovum. The estrogen in the fallopian tubes causes increased motility so that the fertilized ovum can be passed through fallopian tubes more easily. But in the cervix, in the progesterone, it increases the secretion for the nutrition of the fertilized ovum. And the mammary glands, it prepares them for the lactation by promoting growth of the secretory alveoli and lobules. It also has the thermogenic effect, and natriuretic effect is produced by the anti-aldosteronic effect. It also causes inhibition of ovulation.